Bring in a 26-year veteran of the U.S. Border Patrol and current sheriff in Terrell County, Texas Sheriff Thad Cleveland. Sheriff, welcome back to the show.
Howdy, Hena. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good morning. So let's start with that memo about authorities concerned for their safety, saying migrants seem to be more aggressive. What are you dealing with on the ground, sir?
Yes, ma'am. So actually out here, we're dealing with a different type of illegal alien. In Eagle Pass, El Paso, Arizona, and San Diego, they have the asylum seekers. Here, we have people, as I've mentioned before, that are sneaking into the United States undetected. And then when we encounter them out in the desert, they typically run from us, or if we interdict them on the highway, they lead us into a high-speed pursuit. We have had, in the past, assaults happen against Border Patrol agents, maybe one a year. But I'll tell you what we do here in Terrell County. If the Assistant U.S. Attorney doesn't seek prosecution, we will take that individual and prosecute them on behalf of the United States Border Patrol.
Interesting. So have you personally witnessed migrants possibly being more aggressive towards authorities?
Again, not here specifically.
Sure.
And again, they're just running. But yes, across the border, as Texas has begun to put more infrastructure along the border, it's forcing illegals to go other locations, and it's making them more determined to cross here. When they become more determined, they do become more aggressive. So we will continue to see things escalate. And then once they make it here, they don't want to go back. So they're willing to run, fight, or do whatever they have to do.
You mentioned Texas. You're right. They're putting new measures to protect the lives of law enforcement on the ground. Do you think it'll work?
Oh, for sure. Yes, ma'am. And actually, let me go back to when President Trump was president. I was assigned to U.S. Army North. That is Title 10 active duty forces versus what we currently have with Title 32 National Guard. It's just a different in the way they're funded. But the president had what's called a QRF, a quick reaction force, on standby 24/7 during that entire time. This is similar to what Governor Abbott has brought to the border in El Paso. It's something that the Biden administration completely abandoned, and something that's necessary at these current times.
This is something you've brought up many times on this show and other networks. I want to talk about the number of migrants that come in. This fiscal year alone, over 144,000 migrants have crossed the southern border. Sheriff, how is this year different from the past 2 years?
Well, I tell you what, we're waiting for that surge. We're pretty much trending with historical numbers as far as the amount of people crossing. And then again, we have to deal with CBP kind of playing with the numbers, those that are actually encountered versus those that are arrested. And then we have the gotaways. Look, we've got 9 more months to see what's going to happen. We're not going to see a change along the border. And when I say see what happens in the presidential race. But we've got 9 more months of this administration. We're going to continue to see people coming to surrender to seek asylum. We're going to continue to have those that come and cross illegally. What we need Americans to get out and vote, make a change in the White House to someone that's going to actually focus on our border, focus on America, and help secure our communities.
I want to bring up Allie Bradley's piece. She mentioned that migrant that went viral on social media for promoting squatting. He's been arrested. But how do you see social media playing into the border conversation, Sheriff?
First, Allie's exactly right with, now he's in federal custody, but Venezuela's not going to take him back. So once he's served his time for whatever the crime is, they're eventually going to have to let him loose. And when they let him loose, he's going to go right back on the streets of the United States. But we continue to see social media not only encourage people to cross the border, but shows them how to cross the border. Whether it's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, social media is being exploited by those looking to come into the United States illegally or through a false asylum claim. And, we should be able to find a way to have those companies work with us to shut those specific sites down.
Sheriff, I am running out of time, but I want to ask you, with your experience, you've been doing this for so long, what have you noticed that may be different about the method migrants are using to cross the border currently?
They're using technology more and more. Not only just those platforms, and when I said shut the sites down, I didn't mean the platforms, just those individual accounts. Yeah. But even here in my own community, where historically we don't have a lot of infrastructure for communication services, cell services, as that infrastructure grows along the border in more remote places, it actually enables the smugglers. It helps us with communications, but it assists them with communications and therefore increases their locations that they have the ability to smuggle people. They can arrive to a location, drop a pin drop, send it to a smuggler, and they know exactly where to meet up, where historically it was just kind of by word of mouth.
Sheriff Thad Cleveland, we always appreciate your insight, sir. Thank you so much for coming on this morning.